Hello, everyone. We are very excited to have an information session introducing our heritage curriculum. Just going to start off with a bit of an introduction. Ask Online School is a South African Christian online school that blends rigorous academics with creativity, habit formation, and joyful learning. I have the pleasure of introducing Hayley Ponter and Dr. Liesel Beneke, who will be hosting the session and answering questions. Hayley Ponter leads Ask Online School as well as Hilldrop Heritage School, which is a successful brick and mortar school in KZN. Hayley is an experienced teacher and has been in the principal role of Hilldrop Heritage School for over 20 years, having started the school with a vision that education should be high quality, creative, as well as grounded in Christian values. Dr. Liesel Beneke holds a PhD in education from the University of Witwatersrand. Dr. Beneke's background is in language and maths education. Dr. Beneke plays an active role at Hilldrop Heritage School as well as St. Martin's School, where she promotes holistic, Christ-centered learning that nurtures curiosity, creativity, and confidence in both teachers and learners. Today, we are introducing our unique heritage curriculum, which provides a distinctly South African, CAPS-aligned, Christ-centered approach, nurturing wisdom, wonder, and worship in every child. This is developed by teachers who are passionate about education, children, and scripture, which is aimed to support home-based, distance, and school-based learners with a curriculum that is alive, accessible, and centered on Christ. What inspired the creation of our heritage curriculum?
Hello, Kylie. Thank you for that question. I feel that this is almost gone full circle. Let me just give you an ounce of context so you understand where we're coming from. But at the point where my children were ready to go to school, I'd been teaching in a private school, independent school, and I had decided that I wanted something different for my own children. And I was about to launch homeschooling with the children, but I didn't actually feel confident doing it. Neither did I want to teach my own children. I thought that I was concerned about the discipline and concerned whether I would get to all that I needed to get to. And so it was out of that we started our little school with just 4 children in my garage. And I employed a teacher who would take on that responsibility. And from there, it has grown into what it is today. And what we have managed to, I think, create is something quite unique, quite special, and quite beautiful. And we've often thought, and when I say we, it is Dr. Beneke and myself that have spoken at length. How do we duplicate something so beautiful, so lovely? It's not like your normal brick and mortar school. We're like a family. We're like a community, and it's a wonderful space for learning, a wonderful space for children to grow in confidence and just in value, in knowing who they are. And so we initially imagined that we could duplicate this model in other places, and that's just has had so many challenges in terms of we can only be in one space at a time. And then we came with the idea, we did start an online school, but making use of other platforms, mostly American. And having been in that space for 2.5 years, we saw that the need arose for something South African, CAPS-aligned, but beautiful in all senses. And so we realized that we could actually take what we have here into that space. We both come from, speaking again of Dr. Beneke and myself, from families invested in education. I know that Dr. Beneke's grandfather was a principal, her mother was a principal. I come from a rich family with an educational heritage or rich in educational heritage. And so we at the core have a heart for quality academics, and with that a quality support system. But we want flexible learning that works it does work in our school, and we want it to work in the home. But we also want a teaching and a curriculum that honors both God and still have the South African cultural context. And so to meet those needs, we developed a heritage curriculum, used it, and it's going to now be available in our Ask Online school platform.
What is the core vision of the heritage curriculum?
So when we think about the core vision, we would like to start first with how we see children. And I think one should see a child not just as a vessel to be filled, but as a flame to be lit. So we would like to think of education as shaping who a child becomes, not only shaping what a child knows. So education shouldn't just be about ticking off boxes or getting good marks in a test. There should be much more to it. Our vision is to develop very strong academic foundations, but at the same time to encourage children to still have a sense of wonder and to look at the world God has created with wonder. We want to raise a generation of creative children who are also wise. We want to train them in habits that they can learn for their whole life. And we also would like to root every single subject, everything we do, in a Christian worldview.
Thank you so much. So how does Ask Online then blend the CAPS curriculum with the Charlotte Mason and classical approach?
So as Haley has said, we did see the need and the space for something that's distinctly South African. So our curriculum will be very much based on CAPS. We will still comply with the CAPS national standards, but we refuse to teach CAPS in a dry and theory-heavy way that focuses a lot on assessment. We would like to enrich CAPS with our experiences from our school here. As Haley said, it is a very beautiful space. We have got a lot of experience teaching in this way. We have looked at two different theories that we'd like to use to enrich the CAPS curriculum. The one is the philosophies of Charlotte Mason. I mentioned before training habits that develop lifelong learners, and the Charlotte Mason approach does focus on this, on focusing habits like diligence and attention. Charlotte Mason also focuses on narration, so on speaking and writing back in your own words. So language training is going to be a strong focus in our curriculum. And then also coming back to developing a sense of wonder in God's creation, we will also include an element of nature study. Another philosophy that we'll include in our curriculum is classical education. Classical education is based on the trivium of grammar, of logic, and of rhetoric. And there's also a strong focus on language and ideas. So basically, we're aiming to develop learners who think logically, who really have a strong foundation academically, and who are also able to express themselves well. Furthermore, we'd like to also include a focus on practical skills, and this is to combat the screen time epidemic that our children face. So our children live in a world that's very much screen-based. They often don't spend time with the real people in their lives or learning practical skills. So that is something we would also like to focus on. So altogether, heritage curriculum, it's going to be contextual in South Africa. It's an academically deep curriculum, but also spiritually rooted, and it will be a joyful learning experience for children.
That's wonderful. So what does Bible-based Christian education mean?
I think that Bible-based Christian education is not starting with a verse at the beginning of a worksheet and ending with a verse at the end of the worksheet. I think that it's instilling into the hearts of children a love for the truth, a love for God, and out of that will naturally flow a lifelong path of learning. It really means that the basis of what we teach will be biblical. So even if you weren't a Christian, there's tremendous value in our curriculum, because you know that what is taught is going to be wholesome in every aspect. So it would be in when we're doing natural science, possibly seeing God's character in and through nature, because nature is really just a demonstration of so many spiritual principles and concepts. And then, of course, teachers who are Christian and who model and mentor Christ-like character. And in that way, you do away with so many things we've seen in schools where many adults today walk around with scars because of things that teachers may have said to them in the past. Whereas if our focus is on the way Christ thinks about you and the value that you have in Christ's eyes, will give you tremendous value in the world today. So our faith flows naturally into learning through, we will have daily devotions. Some of them might be live, some might be recorded. And then, of course, we will do scripture memory and reflection. There are biblical themes linked to subjects and mentorship, as I've mentioned, from Christian teachers. And then a worshipful curiosity about creation and discussions that connect truth to life. Themes will be included such as gratitude, diligence, mercy, stewardship, and they weave into the content of our curriculum, into assignments and discussions, giving the learner an anchor for the week. We may not yet have mentioned, but I know that we will speak a lot about rhythms, learning rhythms, and this is one of our rhythms, a rhythm to create a culture that feels like living in community, not just a website.
Why is character formation so central to Ask Online's approach?
Sure, I love that question. Ask Online believes education must train more than the mind. It's the heart and the habits. We live in a failing society where there's so little sound character. Very little is demonstrated and exercised. And in fact, we're in a space teaching children where we don't really even know what jobs there will be in the future, what vocations will be available. So we then need to train the individual. Let me give you, I think, a pretty good analogy here. Let's take gold, for example. Gold is a commodity. It's tangible, it's interchangeable, an interchangeable raw material, and it's traded on global markets with diverse uses. And one of the primary uses is that gold is a store of value and investment. And it can also be used in jewelry as well as in industry. Now, I want to go through that. And if we have a look at initially, gold was used to make coins, and people traded with those coins. And we've seen a society and changes in life where we've gone from coins to eventually paper money, then to a cashless society. We're using credit cards, debit cards, and one step further, we're now into cryptocurrency, a coin that we possibly, or a currency that we possibly can't even see. But through all of that, gold still has its value. And in fact, it has tremendous value. Gold has just reached, if I'm not mistaken, the highest price that it has, trading at over $4,000 in October 2025 per ounce. So it's almost like in this cryptocurrency area, gold has developed greater value. So let's have a look at education. Even though we are in an ever-changing front of education, ever-changing space of education, we need to draw on the gold in education. We need to find the value. We need to find its use as an interchangeable value. And I think that we're going to find those things, in all honesty, as character, as principles, which are the essence of life and of the way we live life, the way we interact with people, Recently, Dr. Beneke and myself attended a principals conference, which was very interesting. We had a great speaker there who said in time, knowledge will be accessible to anyone at any given moment. And we're going to start seeing that people are employed for character more than for what they know. And so I think that is the heart of what we want to do there, that rich, deep gold, that character formation, teaching diligence, attentiveness, honesty, trust. We so often in our schools speak about the fruits of the Spirit, the peace, the love, the joy, patience, kindness, long suffering. Those are the kind of characters we want to deeply instill into the children whose lives we can touch.
So in what ways does Ask Online then aim to strengthen the South African education landscape?
So in many ways, the South African education landscape is a conflicted and challenging space. There are around 80% of our learners at grade 4 level that cannot read for meaning. So our education system is failing drastically at many levels. But within this challenged space, within this conflicted space, we aim to bring hope. So we also, there is a lot of quality there is a lot of quality education available, but it's unequal. Our society is very unequal. So certain children have access to it, but not everybody does. So one of our aims is to, like Haley said, to duplicate the beautiful experience we have here at this school, but also to make it available for ordinary South African families everywhere, not just for the elite few. So at Ask Online, we aim to strengthen education by offering our curriculum to families and to schools. We are offering them a CAPS-aligned and Christian curriculum that's locally relevant. And in saying locally relevant, I've mentioned that we live in a conflicted and challenged country in many ways, but there are so many things about South Africa that are also joyful and creative and beautiful. And we also aim to bring those things across in our curriculum. We aim to support parents on a very personal level as they educate their children, but also to support schools as they use our curriculum. We'd like to provide education that's accessible and affordable for families, and also to provide a safe space for children to learn. I think that Haley also did mention that school can sometimes be a space that isn't safe for children, but if children can learn from home using our curriculum, they will also have access to a safe space for learning.
Thank you. And, obviously with the boom of technology and the problem with the threshold of schools, online learning has grown tremendously in the last little while. So how would you say that Ask Online is different from the other online schooling platforms?
I think that we could say that Ask Online is not just a school on a screen. And we could think of it in terms of a learning ecosystem built around childhood and family rhythms. And this learning ecosystem has been built around its own curriculum, the heritage curriculum, as we've mentioned before. So the way that ours, we're hoping, will be different and stand apart is that it'll be a blend of on-screen. I want to mention the gold again. There's some extremely valuable things that were taught in schools that sometimes have been put aside. And I'm going to use an example, simple example of handwriting or cursive writing. Studies are done on how those develop the brain and pathways in the brain, and yet also there are other aspects to handwriting and cursive writing which takes a tremendous amount of discipline and self-control. So we don't want to put those things aside. We want to incorporate it into our learning system, our learning ecosystem, where children will still have and feel the pages and the texture of a book. There's also been studies done on reading a book on a tablet or online compared with reading a book with pages and that a child can turn. I think a delightful thing too is when you're reading a book, you can see exactly how much you've read. You know, it's just delightful when you see you getting towards the end of the book and there's this much left. I know that the screen does say so many pages of so many read, but you don't get that same interpretation. And of course, that all has mathematical value and estimation. I've read about 3/4 of the book in visual, whereas if you're entirely online, you don't have that visual sense and hands-on feel and touch. And I think that that's something else that we hope to bring across too, is that learning, it will be very experience-based. Learning needs to be experiential, more than just a whole lot of information, either on a platform or a couple of games to play, etc. We will be working from textbooks, in exercise books, feeling the pages, and this is not just done to be different. It's because we understand that gold, that value in those aspects.
I'd also like to just mention the practical skill that we'd like to bring in. So they've done studies on first-year medical students that actually could do all the theory of medicine, but because they've taken things like music that does use the fingers, handwriting, and also sewing and those kinds of things out of schools, there are many or most first-year medical students were not really able to have or they didn't have the fine motor skills to be able to sew up a wound. With teaching practical skills, we also want to counter this problem in modern society, that we live such screen-based lives, such often theoretical lives, that we don't have practical skills anymore.
I also would just like to come in here, if I can, and say that being in a brick and mortar school, we are facing challenges more and more with seeing children who are possibly presenting with the symptoms of an autistic child. And the more I've been working with these children, and the more that Dr. Beneke and myself have sat with parents and try to really get down to the bottom or the heart of things, we realize a lot of it is just that children don't play. Children do not develop those fine motor skills. They don't develop their gross motor skills, and they cannot use their bodies as what they should. So there's a kind of like a virtual autism, and that's just a lack of experiential, down-to-earth learning.
And with all that said, I think parents would love to know, what would a day in the life of an Ask Online learner then look like?
So we would like learning to be quite a fluid, flexible experience. We would like the children, as they learn, to move between the screen, to books, to the outdoors, to the community, which might be their family or the extended community. At the same time, the learning should still be structured, but it should be a deeply personal experience. So the morning might begin with a live devotion with a teacher, which could be followed by a maths concept that they would watch on a recorded video. Once they've watched their video and gained an understanding of the maths concept, then next doing a textbook activity. And as Hayley mentioned, we do believe very much in the value of real books. So we will be working with textbooks and exercise books. The children will be writing their maths and their language subjects and the other subjects down. They won't just be working with quizzes on the screen. They will be using handwriting and exercise books and textbooks. Next, there might be an independent reading exercise. We have divided the learning into a morning focus and an afternoon focus. The mornings would probably have the maths and the languages, whereas the more creative subjects would be in the afternoons. So now that they've finished their maths, their independent reading, they would in the morning probably move on to a language activity. And then we would encourage scheduling a break. And in those breaks, we would like the child to do something that is screen-free so that they are encouraged to play or to do something outdoors. After the break, there would probably be some sort of a creative activity or a science activity, and the day would probably end in a prayer or a reflection.
What is the Learning Rhythms tool?
So the Learning Rhythms tool is the tool we've designed. It's a visual and practical planning tool. It shows how learning flows through a week using short focused sessions. And our learning rhythms, it prioritizes what kind of learning should happen and at what pace. So we will give guidelines as to how long an activity should take. Learning rhythms also guides parents and children in what the balance of online and offline learning should look like. It also creates a balance between supported work and independent work. It's always important to let a child try something independently. As adults, we're not there to learn for children. We're replacing a traditional timetable with this daily pattern or rhythm. So we're helping children learn with a structure, but it's not a stressful structure like a timetable. So in essence, you can say it's a rhythm and not a timetable. A clock controls a timetable, but a rhythm, we believe, can shape a habit. Instead of a schedule that rules them, they would have predictable and repeated patterns that would teach them to form habits. And these habits should be lifelong.
This is all so incredible, and you are set to launch in January of 2026. What are the fees for 2026?
I think another beautiful thing in terms of what we've been able to create is because we do have a brick and mortar school and we have so many resources at our disposal, and we have also been able to pull on and use these resources. We've actually been able to create something that is extremely affordable to parents, and we're coming in at a price of 1,999 Rand from grade 1 per month. We've had a look at stationery fees and textbooks. Based on the textbooks and the stationery that we use at our brick and mortar school, we're looking at stationery which may cost in the region of 500 Rand, and then very much the same the textbooks or the workbooks. So that's a once-off payment of stationery of about 500. That is in your lower grades, your grade R, your foundation phase, and textbooks much the same. And then your monthly fees, and that is it.
The stationery and the textbooks, just to clarify, that would be for the year?
Yes, correct.
Right. Perfect, thank you. Thank you so much, ladies, for this information session. I think really exciting what you have created. I'm looking very forward to it and the impact that it will have on children in their homes. So just to give a little bit of how you can apply, if you'd like to apply for your children, you can either email askonline@heritageschool.co.za. You can also WhatsApp us on 073-781-3711, or you can visit our website to find a little bit more, but the link will also be in the description. Thank you so much for watching.